Welcome back, everyone. This is Coach Quip, episode 153. I'm Coach Robyn.
I'm Coach Chris.
And today we're talking about meetups.
You know, it's happening organically, which has
Yes.
been a really, really cool thing. So, yeah, meetups in terms of like meeting people to do your training or to do social things or whatever. And I love this because one of my favorite episodes that we've done in the past was about social recovery.
Yep.
And, you know, social recovery is sort of built into meetups, even if you're doing the training. So I'm excited for us to talk about this one.
Yeah, and it's really honestly how Edge was started, because we trained with a bunch of other athletes, like we had 10 people or so in our group. And sure enough, we would meet up to do our bikes and our runs and our swims. And we noticed really that was our first exposure as adult athletes to like a true kind of effect of training with others. I kind of thought, oh, I might get sick of them right after riding with them for 4 or 5 hours. And the opposite happened, where not only did we enjoy the entire process, but we also wanted to continue to hang out after, which is how this whole lounge really concept came up.
That's amazing. I am very much a solo trainer. And so
you are.
Yeah, when I do my training, it's very individual. It's my me time, it's solo, it's something that I can focus on. And I think, you know, I can have a therapy session on why that is, maybe about, you know, my fears of being in a group or holding people back or having to hold back. You know, I think that's something that people sort of negotiate. But I recently met up with one of my athletes to do a ride, and I had the best time.
Yeah. Welcome to the group effect.
Yeah, thank you. It was good to be back because I used to do...
It's been a minute, people.
I used to do so much group training in New York, and, you know, I think I really shifted into solo work here, and, you know, certainly depending on what races I'm training for.
Well, and there was COVID in the middle of that too, right?
Yeah.
Where meetups were hard.
Yeah, very much so. So, I mean, that... You know, in our rear view, meetups are back, and we're seeing it stronger than ever with our community here. So in this episode, we're going to talk about some of the reasons why meetups are awesome. And I'll just start it off with the first one being fun. You know, I had so much fun on my ride with another person, and we know that having fun increases the chance that you'll stick with your activity.
Yeah.
Like, if it sucks, you're not going to want to do it. And if you're having fun, it makes the time go by faster. It makes, you know, you maybe pay less attention to your own negative thoughts and spinning in your head. And it's just it's a great way to meet new people, and also maybe have a little bit of friendly competition, you know, race up the hill and see who gets to the top first, or, you know, it's like that
improves the dynamic. Yeah,
that lightheartedness can really make an impact on your overall perception of how much quality was in that training session.
Yeah. All right, next up is motivation. For me, this is a big one personally. I know it really helps to have encouragement from others. It makes you stay committed to your goals. We see this a lot with Run Club, especially now as volumes are building and intensity is building. It clearly provides accountability, which, full disclosure, this is a reason why we have people sign up. Because, you know, whether that's for a class or for a run, you are getting email reminders. You are a lot less likely to back out because you are already committed to something. And I'm the same way. I physically sign myself up for classes and sessions because I know that someone's going to be like, oh, where are you, Robyn? Right? And that is a big deal. There's something called the Kohler effect, which is basically a psych theory that says that your motivation, when we're having it around groups, it's going to increase if you work out in a group versus if you work out individually, which is sort of like, duh, we know that, right? Another study published in Sports, Exercise, and Performance Psychology found that slower high school track athletes actually made greater gains compared to the top ones when everyone had to perform as part of a team, right? And this is also in a large part how the windrunners work, right? We know that when we have groups, 2 different groups in a track practice that are similarly paced, that that back pack is eventually going to be able to bridge that gap and get up there, and the front pack is kind of running away, and we're able to kind of pivot them forward by that collective team effort of advancing and improving.
Yeah, and if you look, I mean, just think about our Olympic runners and just how many of them are training with the team, either other people who are on an Olympic team, or like Kipchoge, you know, just training with his squad. And we know that that's the way to stay accountable, to stay on your training plan, and to have fun.
Yep.
So. So along with that is you're more likely to reach your goals when you are training with the team. And part of it is that accountability piece and staying on your plan. But it's also that a rising tide lifts all boats. It's, our favorite topic, the draft horse effect. Again,
it's real.
And when I think of this, I do think of the wing runners and how many PRs are set by that group of people who are constantly uplifting one another. So research shows that working out with a friend, even virtually, pushes people to keep at it longer than they would on their own. And I think we talked about that a little bit in the social recovery piece a little bit too. One study found that adult exercisers worked harder, like holding a plank for longer when they worked out with a partner than they did doing planks on their own. And that makes sense. I think even as a strength coach, I see that difference between someone working out at home on Zoom versus being here in person. It's the same workout, but the level to which you will push yourself, you can squeeze out those extra few seconds. You can squeeze out that extra 2 reps when you're with people where it's not as pressing when you're at home.
And I think there are a lot of people that aren't familiar with gym spaces or aren't comfortable with gym spaces. They think that's because of competition. Mm-hmm. I actually think it's because you have some of the pressure off of you. Yeah. So you're part of this kind of collective effort, and you don't want to let the person next to you down, so you are going to ride it out all the way to the beep, right? Mm-hmm. And that is the true kind of power of the group.
And I think there's so much magic in those last 5 seconds or the last 50 feet of an interval. And often, if anybody has ever come to my class where I've gotten a little sassy about people stopping before the bell.
That and talking over me. Watch out. Those are, have we done one on Coach Pet Peeves?
We should, yeah.
We should.
If we did, we'll do another.
We have 10 more for you.
Yeah. Definitely that's one of my biggest buttons, I think. But, it's not because it's a slight to me for you to stop early. Like, obviously listen to your body.
It's a slight to you.
But it's a slight to you. It's you keeping your promise to yourself. And, it's in a way giving up on yourself in that last bit. And, I think about our track sessions.
Yeah.
And there's been such good energy around our athletes organizing their own self-coached group meetup track session on Thursdays, right? And I think that you are just more likely to hit your numbers, to push through the intervals, to not give up on yourself when you have other people around.
And a good example of this, one of my athletes, who will remain unnamed, slept in last week. Uh-huh. And it was pretty steamy last week. And they missed Thursday morning track, which they love. Uh-huh. And they ended up having to do it on their own. I can't remember if they did it indoors or outdoors, but it was a miserable experience. And I believe the Training Peaks comments were all caps. Last time I sleep the F in, like that was definitely not worth it trying to do that solo. And I think that, they are familiar with group training, but I don't think that they understood just how stark that group versus individual lift would have been until they literally had to do it alone.
Yeah, and the speed work is a great example, and also those long runs as they get longer and longer. Just thinking that you can push through those back half miles because you have the company of somebody else. And even if you and I are running side by side and not talking,
it still helps.
It still keeps us going forward. It's magical.
Next up is stress relief, right? We could all use this a little bit, and being with a group. So a small study published in the Journal of Osteopathic Medicine actually found that a group exercise participants, so we're all in it together, reported a 26.2, that's ironic, percent reduction in perceived stress levels, which was really a lot more than people who exercised on their own. Mm-hmm. So if we work out in a group, we're going to actually perceive our stress at more than 25% less than if we go at it on our own. That's day on day, that's going to make some major gains, right?
That is significant.
And you can incorporate, just like we talked about, social recovery too, to really, bubble this up. Check out episode 96 on this one. It is probably one of my favorites too. Obviously, it's very near and dear to our heart because our entire business is built around it. But that benefit of being able to have a collective effort and then be able to decompress from it and experience the after alongside people is a different type of meetup, and it will elevate that even more.
Okay, another reason why meetups are great is it's a safety tool. So I think about our folks who are strength training in the annex and having that extra person there in case they need a spot, right?
Yeah.
Safety in numbers early in the morning or late at night when you're doing runs, it's just always better to have somebody there. And then just on the off chance that something happened, you're on trail, for example, and you twist your ankle, like having someone there is a really good idea. So meetups are awesome for that.
Real talk.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I ever told you this story. When I was in college as an undergrad, I would always run with my roommates. Mm-hmm. And, we would go out, 3-5 miles at a time. And I was running once on campus. I went to UI. Mm-hmm. I'm very familiar. I grew up there. Like, I know where I am. Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, I was running on the sidewalk, and I tweaked my ankle, and I fell off, or I started to fall off my curb. And my roommate, Brianna, put her arm out and shoved me back onto the sidewalk just as a giant bus went by. And she literally saved my life. And I was like, wow, thank God you were here. The cat-like reflexes, yeah. But having that extra eyes and ears, especially like in an urban or a busier environment, it can literally save you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it saved me. I think about that every time I see a bus or hear a bus and I'm running. I'm always like, get over.
Oh, that's terrifying.
Yeah, it was, we learned.
Yeah.
All right, next up is it can actually help you live longer. That's right, you heard that. Live longer, work out with people, check all the boxes. A large study followed almost 9,000 people over the course of 25 years and found out that individuals who participated in group sports with more social interactions, like tennis and soccer and all of those team things, which we all love, lived a few years longer on average than those who participated in solo fitness endeavors. I'm pointing to Coach Chris here if you're listening, such as cycling or running. Yeah. What this says to us is we should group up, right? Mm-hmm. That there is a health benefit to grouping up. It doesn't need to be for every single session, but I think that's also why it's resonating with a lot of people, and they're doing it in droves. Mm-hmm. All the more reason to find a run club or a tri club like here at Edge Athlete Lounge, or really anywhere that you are. There are tons of them. Yeah. Find one, find the vibe, and do what you love with others and live longer.
Yeah, so I think these meetups can be, training, as we talked about, like come to a group class, group up for your runs or your rides. We now have people who are open water swimming, and that's a big one to not do alone. So making sure that you have people with you. So our open water swimming, we actually had a fun social run that was going to get NA beverages. I love that.
Yeah, like the different
sober run to different places. And, again, like you said, so many run clubs, no shortage of places to meet up with other people to do your thing. So if you haven't tried a meetup yet, we definitely suggest it. You could use our WhatsApp groups if you're a member, or our Facebook group. And, if you don't see a meetup that you want to do, invite others. Start it. Don't wait for somebody else to do it, because if you are thinking about doing something, I know that there's probably somebody who'd be down to do it with you.
Absolutely. And invite him. Till next time, everyone. See you at the next meetup. Thanks for listening to Coach Quip. Original music performed by Mend. Follow us online on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Edge Athlete Lounge. Our podcast lives in the blog section of our website. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast, and you can check out the show notes for additional ways to contact us. Ready, set, onward we go.